Last time out in the Honda British Talent Cup, the chase for the title took a twist, with Casey O'Gorman marking his return to the class with back-to-back victories. With Johnny Garness also triumphant in the triple header at Donington, Evan Belford's lead has been whittled away. Under the MotoGP spotlight at Silverstone, it's time for the next chapter in the chase for the 2021 Honda British Talent Cup. At the home of the British Grand Prix, we're all set for round 6 of the 2021 season. 5.9 kilometres, just over 3.6 miles of fast sweeping corners provide the ultimate challenge for the riders who are all hoping to call this paddock their home in the future. I'm Lewis Sutterby alongside Fran Wild, bringing you both British Talent Cup races this weekend, with the second scheduled for 4 p.m. tomorrow. And Fran, a fascinating 11 laps lie ahead.
They most certainly do, and like you said, such a long track, a huge challenge for these guys coming onto the Grand Prix stage and at the 5.9 kilometre Silverstone as well. But yeah, it should be an exciting race today, I think, and like you said in the intro as well, for those who joined us from the very start of the broadcast, it's pretty well poised now. We could see a really decisive weekend after Donington Park.
Yes, we also touched on a title twist last time out at Donington Park involving this rider on the screen now, Johnny Garness, who's brought himself right into contention, and another one this weekend, because Garness, who currently sits well in contention for the 2021 British Talent Cup, has a real chance to walk away from Silverstone, perhaps even walk home today as the points leader, given what happened yesterday in qualifying, Fran, because the current series leader, Evan Belford, had a terrible time.
He did indeed, yeah. A technical problem has left Belford right at the back of the grid. So, huge challenge today for the number 52. However, obviously, with these rules that we have for the BTC, tomorrow it'll be on fastest laps that set the grid. So it could do a bit of damage limitation today, and all is not lost for the weekend. But yeah, it's certainly a mountain to climb for Belford, psychologically as well, knowing that obviously it was a technical problem and he's got to bounce back from that. And yeah, with just 13 points of advantage now, really big race coming up for him, I think, to try and keep his head and make sure he can try and work his way towards the front. Absolutely.
You're looking at Harrison Crosby, who lines up on the second row of the grid. As mentioned, Belford leads us by 13 points over Johnny Garness, who closed in quite significantly with 3 podiums, a first, a second and a third last time out at Donington Park, as Belford's run extended to 4 races without a podium finish after a pretty dominant start to the season. This is Cormac Buchanan, the Kiwi in the field. He starts 7th on the grid. It is a predominantly British class, as you'd imagine. The title kind of gives that away, but we do have a bit of an international flavour to this series, with riders from the Netherlands, the New Zealand and the United States lining up on this grid, because even though this is the British Talent Cup, all of these riders from all parts of the globe want to be on that road to MotoGP.
They do indeed. And yeah, Cormac Buchanan is in another Road to MotoGP programme as well. He races in the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup, which is why he wasn't present at the last round of the Honda British Talent Cup, but now he is back here. And Corey Tinker as well, that we're looking at now, another rider who's doing some other stuff as well on the Road to MotoGP in the European Talent Cup. So busy schedule for plenty of these guys, including the man on pole. But yeah, it's good to see a full grid here, and the likes of Cormac Buchanan back with us, and pretty good debut for the Kiwi as well in 7th.
Impossible to miss Corey Tinker as he walks through the paddock. He has probably the greatest hair in motorcycle racing.
Absolutely. We drove past him on a service road, I think on Thursday. I was just like, that's Corey Tinker. And whoever I was with the car was like, how can you tell so far away? I was like, well.
Yes, it's very, very easy to spot him. You just got a quick glimpse there of Carter Brown, who's also still very much in contention this season. He sits 3rd in the points, just 27 behind the leader. And of course, Evan Belford's got his work cut out from 32nd on the grid to maintain that advantage. Still probably with, if you look with the races still to go, because we have 3 rounds to go following this one, with rounds at Snetterton 300, the Silverstone National Circuit, which is the shorter version of the circuit that we're racing on today, and then the finale at Donington Park at the beginning of October. Still an awful awful lot of points to play for. So you'd think even all the way down to perhaps Jamie Lyons in 6th, who's had a very good weekend so far, they can still put some results together, which might bring them into contention later in the year. Yeah,
they definitely can. It's definitely not over at all. And Casey O'Gorman, who's now 4th overall, certainly showing that as well. He obviously missed 3 rounds due to injury, I think it was. Although looked in a little bit in terms of the points he couldn't contest, because obviously that race 2 at Thruxton was cancelled. But he's back into 4th overall and only 45 off the top, so mathematically could leave Silverstone with the points lead. Unlikely, but still possible, because yeah, he's now won 4 of the 5 races he's contested. And yeah, it's very much all in play still. And as we say as well, with Belford just struggling a little bit more at Thruxton and Donington Park on the national layout last time, pretty interesting to see how the momentum's swinging and how it changes so much from round to round.
Here is Evan Belford. No point looking behind him because there's nobody there. He starts last on the grid, and it is going to be fascinating to see how much progress and how quickly he can make that progress as this race unfolds. We'll keep you bang up to speed with how he charges through the field. And as Fran mentioned, the grid is not set the same for both races here in the British Talent Cup. The fastest laps from this race will dictate where they start tomorrow afternoon, race 2 of the weekend, which is at 4 o'clock local time tomorrow afternoon, following the Moto2 race tomorrow afternoon. Bailey Stewart Campbell on screen there, impossible to miss with the black and pink livery. He lines up 12th on the grid, as we'll show you in just a second when the grid comes up. But a fascinating weekend lies in store, and a fascinating couple of races lying in store in just a few moments. We'll show you the grid in just one moment. Here's how they line up.
We will in a minute, hopefully.
We will in a minute. We're waiting patiently for the grid to come up.
At the moment, though, we'll enjoy those fabulous blue polo shirts from the guys who were here with the BTC riders. But a great helmet design there as well. Absolutely love it.
So Johnny Garness then on pole position. He'll have Jamie Lyons alongside him in 2nd on the grid. And a fascinating battle between those two perhaps to come, with Belford out of position on the grid. As we mentioned earlier on with his technical problem yesterday, Jamie Lyons was very, very quick in free practice on Friday. He topped both practice sessions and looked pretty dominant. It was only O'Gorman really who could have any sort of answer to him in terms of the practice time. So when it came to the crunch of qualifying, Garness, as true title contenders do, was able to pull it out of the bag and take pole position. So we're expecting those two perhaps to go away at the front. O'Gorman will of course have an eye on that as well, and trying to chase these all the way to the finish. And as mentioned, 2 races really in one, with Belford there on screen, the 52, looking to make progress from the back.
Well, he's doing all right for the warm-up lap, isn't he?
Yes, yeah, he'll be looking for a repeat of that.
Overtaken a few already.
When we get going. Let's just run you through the grid then. It's not on the screen, but let's take you through it. Pole position for Johnny Garness. We've got Jamie Lyons and O'Gorman alongside him. Carter Brown, Harrison Crosby and Troy Jeffrey are on row 2, ahead of Cormac Buchanan, Corey Tinker and Rhys Stevenson. James Cook completes the top 10 ahead of Sullivan Mounsey and Bailey Stewart Campbell, with Ollie Walker, Rossi Banham and Harley McCabe on row 5. Harrison Mackay, JJ Cunningham and Rossi Dobson are next up on row 6, ahead of the Dutchman Keanu Vaya, Evan Pendrell and Lucas Brown. Luca Hopkins, Alexander Rowan and Julian Correa, the American, 1 of 2 on the grid. He starts 24th ahead of Josh Bannister, Eli Banish and Rhys Coates, with Mason Johnson, Harrison Desoy and Ross Moore on row 10. The grid is completed by Peter Willis, Anthony Igor, Holly Harris and the aforementioned Evan Belford, who brings up the rear. Pretty decent conditions, you have to say, Fran, for this race. We've had some very, very British weather. I'm not going to call it chilly because we're British and we're hardy souls who can cope with temperatures below 20.
That's a roast to some of our colleagues, if ever I heard one.
It is indeed. But in all seriousness, the conditions, it's looked overcast, it's looked a little bit in danger of raining earlier in the weekend, but so far so good. The sun is even poking through the clouds, so dry conditions expected.
Yeah, definitely. As you can see, sun is shining now. It's still a little bit cloudy, but this is the weather that the weather app promised me before we arrived at Silverstone. But yeah, a little bit chillier certainly on Wednesday when I was here, and then Thursday. But Friday started to get a little bit better at times, and today finally we have the sun.
We do.
And it's, I think, probably the best conditions of the day so far for these guys, certainly in terms of track temperature. So I'm sure they'll be happy about that. And yeah, just a long warm-up lap though when you're not at racing speed, isn't it? Nearly 6 kilometres.
A 2:21 lap we saw for pole position. So yeah, it is no short lap, make no mistake about it. This is one of the areas we're expecting plenty of action to come in the 11 laps that we've got. Perhaps the big overtaking spot before the end of the lap. Although if you are particularly brave or your name is Alex Rins, you could maybe make a move through Woodcote as we approach the finish line. But the finish line, crucially, as we'll touch on later later in the race, is right on the other side of the final corner through Woodcote. There is no slipstream to benefit from on the run to the line. So generally, and as I mentioned, there are exceptions to this, generally if you lead through Woodcote, you lead out of it.
Yeah, this is straight. It's obviously slipstream city some of the time in the BTC, especially the man on pole, Johnny Garnes, has shown incredible straight line speed with being pretty small. He really gains from that, but this time, yeah, it's all about that apex at the final corner. If you've got that, you've likely got the win, so that could be an interesting one.
Reminder of the championship situation then. The British Talent Cup is led by Evan Belford. He has a 13-point lead over Johnny Garnes, who starts right up the front on pole position. Will we see a change of hands of the series lead over the next half an hour or so? 11 laps ahead of us on round 6, race 1 of the Honda British Talent Cup. We've just got the last couple of riders pulling into position.
He looks ready.
He looks ready, and he's going to need to be. 31 riders up ahead of him for this first race of the weekend. The damage limitation challenge, we shall see for Evan Belford, or can he produce something truly special with the eyes of the MotoGP paddock on them? The red lights will come on, and when they go out, we will be racing for 11 laps of Silverstone. All eyes on the lights. They go out now, and a tremendous start by the pole sitter, the 57 of Garnes, who gets straight up the front and into turn 1. Change for second as O'Gorman sweeps through into second place, getting ahead of Jamie Lyons. No issues further back that we can see at the moment. Evan Belford, of course, has a lot of work to do, and it looks as though all riders have made it through Copse cleanly.
Yeah, it looks as though that was a pretty clean start. Oh, already getting pretty close there. That was a nice move. I think that
was Bailey Stewart Campbell,
it
wasn't
was indeed the pink, like we said, nice and easy to spot. So he made short work of that then. But yeah, great start from Garnes, as we've seen so often, able to take that pressure of pole position and get it done. But Jamie Lyons losing out a little bit. But where is Evan Belford then? Well,
he's not in the top 24 as they've come up on the timing screens. They've come through the first sector, and he is not among them, but we'll keep an eye on it as they slipstream their way down to Stone. Already a change for second place, a big lunge up the inside for the 7 of Jamie Lyons, who's been pretty much nip and tuck with Casey O'Gorman through practice, and they're already swapping positions there as they go through Stowe position. But Garnes already, crucially, while they battle behind him, pulling out a little bit of a gap up the front.
Yeah, I think if he can keep that going, it's going to be very difficult for them to stay with him with that straight line speed that he does have being so small. But Casey O'Gorman, certainly, he's been, well, almost unbeatable in race trim this season. Like we said, it's most of the races he's contested, he's come out on top, and we've also seen him like a little bit mired further down the field in the early stages, and then able to cut that back down. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, I think. But you just pointed out, we found Evan Belford. He's arrived on the timing screen on the left.
On board with him now in 21st position, so he's already picked up a third of the riders ahead of him on the grid, and he's about to go up the inside of another one there. That'll be Luca Hopkins running in 20th position. Brilliant start by Sullivan Mounsey on the number 4. He is now in P4 from 11th on the grid. So a tremendous start for him. Bailey Stewart Campbell as they've just gone past him, so there's a change there. But Garnes at the moment has already pulled out 0.6 of a second of a lead on this first 2/3 of a lap. Casey O'Gorman into second place, and once again Lyons is having a look. So they're busy having their own battle whilst Garnes is into his rhythm. And as you mentioned, if you give Johnny Garnes a rhythm with no riders disrupting him, and the commentator's curse on the first lap, Garnes goes down at Luffield, and a golden opportunity to close in on the series leader slips through his fingers.
Yeah, that's going to be something I'm sure Evan Belford will try not to let that distract him too much as he goes past and sees who that is. But yeah, good to see him obviously completely okay. Just a tumble off the bike and then a second one there. But that promotes this duel then to the duel for the lead, and Casey O'Gorman just hanging on ahead of Jamie Lyons at the moment. But yeah, obviously just pushing a little bit too hard then, Johnny Garnes, in trying to get that clean air behind him.
Absolutely, and we almost saw a move up the inside there for Lyons into Copse. He has to be careful there. He's having a look again now, but that corner does have a little bit of history in recent months of incidents into that corner. I better say that quietly in case Christian Horde is listening. But as we stand at the moment, Casey O'Gorman has the lead, and as we've already touched upon, when he has raced this season in the British Talent Cup, he's only dropped 5 points from the 5 races he started, 4 wins and a second, and all of a sudden the incident involving Garnes and the difficulties that Belford's finding, he's still yet to make it into the points, gives him a big opportunity. But once again, for the second time. Lyons with that big launch into Stowe.
Yeah, nicely done though. Again, all nice and tidy, gets cleanly past and then able to gather it up and keep it. But if anything we've learned already in the lap of Silverstone is that Casey O'Gorman will not be like, oh, okay, I'll just sit behind you. Seems like they're already pretty keen to duel it out here. I guess that's going to be Johnny Garnes. Yeah, I think it's more an emotional trauma than anything too much for him. Look, just loses it, slides out there. And then here, just a bit optimistic about getting back on his feet, but at least he's all okay.
The often thing with races, isn't it, when they crash out, they realise that they can't run at 30 miles an hour as they're trying to get back on their feet. But we can forgive him for that. And of course, a golden opportunity, as I mentioned, has passed him by with Belford now into the points. He's into 15th position. So as you can see, he's already gone up 19 spots from where he lined up. But 3 appear to be away at the front earlier on in this race, out of picture. Lyons, O'Gorman and Bailey Stewart Campbell from that brilliant start from 11th on the grid. He's running in 3rd, and that would be his first British Talent Cup podium of the season. A best of 4th last time out at Donington Park, where he fought with the leaders and he's fighting with them here. Yeah,
definitely really great start for him and made some good and clean progress through the field. A little bit close earlier on, but good stuff. And yeah, that pink bike just glorious in the sunshine, super easy to pick out, as are the Mike Lees Cresswell racing bikes like Casey O'Gorman's with the bright orange. So yeah, great start from him. Really great to see him up there after, like you said, got pretty close to the podium last time out, not quite able to take it, but he has had one before last year, so he is no stranger to it. And Sullivan Mounsey as well, you said, made a great start again. We've seen this quite often from the number 4, really quick starter and then just struggles a little bit in the latter stages to stay with them, so I'll have to see if he can keep that going a little bit now. But there is over a second between Harrison Crosby, who was at the front of that group last time around, and these 3 who've really gone for a breakaway now.
Absolutely, and to give you an idea of just how much time Evan Belford is losing as he tries to pick his way through the field, his last lap was a 2:24.3. That's 2.5 seconds slower than this leading trio are going as they're into the rhythm. Evan Belford's busy battling with other riders. He's currently running in 15th, just behind Ollie Walker, but he's already 9.6 seconds off the lead in this race. You'll probably see him at the back of the screen as he's trying to fight his way through. Lyons this time leads into Stowe rather than having to put some sort of dangerous move or some optimistic dives at the inside to try and take the lead. Not suggesting his overtake was in any way dangerous, but O'Gorman is looking dangerous, and these 3, as I mentioned, away at the front, and no sign at the moment of Harrison Crosby closing in on them just yet. So it looks like we've got a 3-rider dice, but still 9 laps to go, and as mentioned, that's 9 very long laps of racing. Yeah,
most definitely. It is the longest track of the season, and yeah, it's crazy when you see just 11 laps, but no, it's normal race distance in terms of time that takes them to do that. So yeah, but it looks like at the moment then we are going to have a 3-way fight for the podium, but we'll keep an eye on that gap back to Harrison Crosby. Like we said, he seems like he's made a bit of progress breaking away from the group behind him, but we'll have to see if he's made any progress actually catching the 3 ahead of him. But yeah, so Evan Belford, like you said, it's going to be tough work for him as well if he does find himself in those big pockets of space that have started to open up between the different groups here without that slipstream to just help him tag on. Obviously, he will have a pace advantage over a lot of the guys around him on the grid, so that progress will be easier to make at first, and they'll have to really get his head down and try and put those laps in. But there you see that gap's coming down already with 1/3 of a second that time around.
Fascinating tactics from Bailey Stewart Campbell running in 3rd place. He stuck his knees right out as he came down the Wellington straight there behind Casey O'Gorman. So I was starting to think, with him running in 3rd place and staring at a first podium of the season in Honda British Talent Cup, whether he might indeed get a little bit nervous or whether he just sit there. At the moment he's decided to sit there, but it seems to have cost him a lot of time because he lost a bit of ground as they came through Luffield. And if anything, O'Gorman is now coming back at Lyons up the front as these 3 continue to lap in the low 2:22s. A pretty solid pace. They're being matched by Crosby in 4th place, but he's not closing in on them just yet. But interesting tactics from Stewart Campbell. Does he feel he's got a bit more pace up his sleeve than he's showing at the moment?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We've seen it. Oh, that was nicely done. Pretty brave there from Casey O'Gorman to take back the lead. Will he keep it here though? I think he will. Yeah. Nice move from the number 67 there then, and he's back in the race lead. But yeah, with the knees, we've seen that a couple of times already this season, and yeah, it's obviously you don't want to close the throttle because the amount you'll lose then is huge, but sticking your knees out does help to increase that air resistance a little bit, and it means you're not going to kind of have to get pulled in too close and then end up making a move if you don't want to yet and you want to sit there. But that gap is quite big now, and Jamie Lyons then thinks better of that one this time around.
He's telegraphed it a few times into Stowe, hasn't he? He's threatened that move. Here's Evan Belford taking 2 for 1 then. That's the 48 of Ollie Walker and the 29 of Lucas Brown who he's moved. So that'll be 13th position now for Evan Belford as he moves out of Stowe. If you've been watching the MotoGP qualifying earlier, you'll notice there's an alternate route through Vale, but fortunately none of the riders are taking it at this point.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. That might be Evan Belford's best route back into the top 10 in this race, but credit to him, he's not taking that route just yet. But he's up into 13th position. As it stands at the moment, he would of course gain 3 points on his nearest championship contender, which of course going into this race was Johnny Garnes. Carter Brown, who was third in the points, trailed by 27. He's currently running in 5th place, so he would close to within 19 of the lead as we see a move from the 24 up the inside. Battles further back. That's Cormac Buchanan having a move. That will be taking 6th position as we go through the loop and on to the Wellington Straight. So many potential overtaking spots. Practically every corner on these kind of machines is an overtaking hotspot.
They can see as well, classic smaller machinery move there from Cormac Buchanan, just tapping the back of the seat.
Follow me.
Follow me. It's like, that's not worked so far, has it? James Cook looking for a way through there, but not finding one just yet. James Cook, I think, is certainly one of those riders that's a little bit out of position compared to the form that we've seen on the grid, that is to say, compared to the form we've seen from him. I'm sure he will be pretty eager to make some progress there. But back at the front then, it's really changed since we last had a look at these guys, and Casey O'Gorman and Jamie Lyons have really pulled out some meters there, haven't they?
Yeah, that's basically matched the time that Casey O'Gorman set in qualifying. He did a 2:21.561, and as you can see with the new best race lap in this class around here, he was just 300 shy of it on that lap. He really has laid down the gauntlet to Lyons and to Stuart Campbell to say, this is the pace I can run, see if you can match it. And the early stages would appear to suggest that Stuart Campbell cannot, although well, I was about to say, in terms of good news, he's still looking good for a podium, although Harrison Crosby and the group behind him are starting to chip away at that lead, so he might soon have a battle for 3rd place as we take another look at the start. This was where it peaked, unfortunately, for poor Johnny Garnes on the 57, who made a brilliant start, but unfortunately didn't lead before they came to the end of the first lap. And of course, given the nature of the rules with the grid being set for tomorrow based on fastest laps, he ain't got a fastest lap to register a grid position. Yes,
that's very true. So it's kind of just changed completely, isn't it? In just that one moment, from Belford being on the back foot to now Garnes' closest challenger, like we said, 13 points down. But here is the race start then, on board with Evan Belford. Pretty good getaway. Oh, wow, okay. And then just a little bit wide there onto the grass. Got to be careful, and not quite able to make that progress. Obviously, he was aiming for that gap that got smaller and smaller and then too small. He is, absolutely. That's why his progress was a little bit slow early in the race. But as you can see on the town left-hand side of the screen, the 52 is in 13th position. We've lost Luca Hopkins, unfortunately, on the 41. He's crashed out of this race. He is absolutely fine and uninjured, although that brings an end to a 100% finishing record for him in the 2021 British Talent Cup. And we've had a change now for 3rd place. Stuart Campbell has fallen into the clutches of Harrison Crosby, who has taken 3rd position. It would be his 2nd podium of the season. He took a podium in the beautiful Scottish circuit of Knockhill earlier in the season. He's looking to add to that here. Yeah, he did indeed. So yeah, Bailey Stuart Campbell, not exactly sure then what's gone on there. Just I mean, we're not even half distance yet by any measure, so just losing out a little bit on the last couple of laps. The pink machine there, you can see, but yeah, taking it back then, so obviously elbows out, ready to fight it out. But yeah, certainly Crosby and Brown are the two on the move at the moment of these guys, and Cormac Buchanan, you can see there on the orange number 24 just behind them, not too far away either, and we'll get another little boost trying to chase them here if there's a bit of slipstream to be had from those guys punching that 3 wide hole in the air. Yeah, and there's another move up the inside into Cop, so Bailey Stuart Campbell's going to try and hold that around the outside, and he's managed to keep it within track limits, so he has done so. But has he got the drive out of Cops as they go down towards Maggots, Beckett's and Chappell? They're going to go 3 wide through there, and in the end he's going to have to try and slot it into the 2nd of that trio. He just about does it, but the 15 of Crosby does hold on to 3rd place at the moment. This one looks like it's going to run and run, and they are being caught, as Fran mentioned, by the pack behind them, with Buchanan closing in, plus Carter Brown, of course, is on the 74, and perhaps the best placed of the top 3 in the championship now. So a real opportunity for him, with Belford still nailed down in 13th position. He has now caught up with the pack ahead of him. The 79 just ahead of him is now right within his clutches. We're now riding on board with Belford. 12th has already been claimed, and that looks like 11th that's being picked off as well as he drafts his way through. And as we mentioned, it's a real tough task for him now. As you can see up the road, no riders to be found. So will that be the extent of his progress?
progress.
Yeah, we'll have to see then. He'll need some real serious laps now, will Evan Belford, to try and get closer to the group ahead. Just trying to look what the gap actually is. I think it's like 4 seconds, 6 seconds.
It's 6 seconds,
yeah,
unfortunately,
so
although he was a second and a half faster than them on the last lap, and there is still an awful lot of time to go. So a top 10 may not be out of Evan Belford's reach just yet. He must also be in mind of the fastest lap that he can set, which can get him a good position for tomorrow as a big move up the inside. This is, believe me, the battle for third place, although there's over half a dozen riders involved in it. Stuart Campbell is not letting this go without a fight. He's going to be forced wide, though, as they go around the left-hander of Village and around the loop and onto the Wellington Straight. This has been where Billy Stuart Campbell's had an awful lot of speed earlier on, but Carter Brown now up into the podium position and precious points, although of course Billy Stuart Campbell isn't going to let him hold that for very long, is he?
No, absolutely not. Straight back through then. You can see it's getting pretty feisty in this group now. There's a really good battle. Like you said, it's for third, even though it's almost to complete the top 10 with how many riders are in there. But yeah, and you can see Cormac Buchanan then right on the tail of there, and I think it's James Cook just ahead of him as well, who's making some good progress as well. But they're obviously, if they're fighting as they are, that's also probably going to halt their progress a little bit and will help Belford as well. But yeah, there's a long way to go for the number 52 to try and home in on the Yeah, definitely. It's nice to watch, isn't it? A bit different, but yeah, these guys then, it's already like the final laps almost. Wow, that's quite optimistic. I'm not sure. Oh no,
too optimistic as it turns out. That's the 34 he's taken out. So he's taken out Cook, unfortunately, into Vale. So a terrible moment for those two, and both of them out of contention. It did look from a few meters back as if that one wasn't quite going to work. He was trying to take that so tight into Vale. No harm done and no hard feelings between the two. It is indeed racing, but as you can see, he's taking such a tight line there. He's got such a job to get that stopped. In the end, couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, you got to feel bad as well for James Cook. You could see he'd already clocked that he was maybe being a bit optimistic himself, just slowed it down, and then actually Harrison Crosby still just swiping him out as well then. But both up and okay, which is the main thing, but they will, I'm sure, be very disappointed with that, especially James Cook. He's been on quite a good run of form recently, 2 podiums at Donington, and yeah, he'll want to make amends for that tomorrow, I'm sure. But at the front though, this rolls on. It's that's not what half a second looks like. Jamie Lyons
he's pulled back 3/10 in this 3rd sector of the lap, and Jamie Lyons has yet to win in the British Talent Cup this season. In fact, he's yet to even be on the podium so far. A best of 4th in the 2nd of the 3 races. In fact, he has had a podium, excuse me. He was 2nd back at Thruxton, but a 4th in the 2nd of the races that we had last time out at Donington Park, and another new fastest lap, pulling a 1/4 of a second back on Casey O'Gorman as we cut back to the battle for 3rd place. Crucial points up for grabs for Carter Brown here as he looks to close the gap with Garnett out of play, and Evan Belford up in 9th position now. But as you can see on the left of the screen, an awful lot of ground to make up. That's a point that we perhaps missed in that battle up ahead, with the 2 being taken out at Vale. That's 2 less people that Belford's got to overtake.
It is, yeah, so that does help the points leader a little bit then, with those 2 guys sadly crashing out. But yeah, it is a big gap. Like you can see, 6.8 seconds is no mean feat, because like we said, as he gets further and further towards the front, he gets closer and closer in lap time to the guys that he's trying to chase, because yeah, being last on the grid, certainly not his normal position. He's been one of the fastest at most tracks, regardless of race day results, but he is pulling in 2/10 at a time, but 4 laps to go. I think it's going to be a big ask, and he needs to just keep it on the road now and see what happens up ahead of him.
Big move from Cormac Buchanan there into Stowe though. He went steaming up the inside of
He
Bailey
really
Stewart-Campbell,
did.
who's now being swallowed up. As you can see up the inside goes the number 4 of Sullivan Mounsey, but Bailey Stewart-Campbell so late on the brakes, almost too late. You could see the chatter as he hit the brakes to try and get it cranked into
See
Vale.
me just shake my hand there like,
yeah, there was some
ooh.
chatter in this commentary box as well as they slammed on the brakes into Vale, and it's cost both of them because Bailey Stewart-Campbell did run wide in the end, and a little bit of a gap is building ahead of them with the 2 riders up ahead. Brown and Buchanan might now have that podium battle all to themselves.
Yeah, you never know. It could be that just that enough of space to let them escape from that battle with it. Yeah, but Sullivan Mounsey, like we said, so far so good for the number 4. He's still well in contention here for one of his best finishes after that great start, has kept it rolling. But yeah, I think, I don't know, if Carter Brown and Bailey Stewart-Campbell can work together a little bit more rather than against each other, they both stand to gain. But who knows, because with the amount of overtakes they're both pulling, it's doesn't take too long for those behind to catch back on, does it?
It doesn't. It's 0.9 of a second that they've managed to pull out. This is Belford then, running in 9th position, and crucially, he's not been able to break away from this pack that we've been fighting for 9th position. You can see the 96 just behind him of Rossi Banham. Unsurprising to see 1 or 2 riders in this field with the first name Rossi. You can imagine where their inspiration has come from.
Indeed, and the Northern Talent Cup too.
And
It's
the
all
Northern
through
Talent
the
Cup with Rossi Moore, yes. And as it stands at the minute, he's gone back ahead of Belford. So at the moment, this looks like it's going to be the ceiling of Evan Belford's progress. 9th position, subject to any more dropouts up ahead, will be worth 7 points to him. Well, it will be 7 precious points indeed as he goes up the inside once again as they go into Copse. Just 3 laps to go then. Not enough time, you'd say, for him to close in on the battle ahead. He's still got 5.5 seconds to make up, even if he was nearly a 1.5 seconds quicker on that last lap around. A fast pace that they're setting. Of course, the battle up ahead of them might well play into his hands, but he may just run out of laps in that battle. Here are the leaders then. Still nothing to choose between O'Gorman and Lyon. They continue to set relentless 2:21s, which is right on a par with their qualifying pace. And we do now have appearing a 2 and a 3, with the 3rd place battle simply between Brown and Buchanan, with Stewart-Campbell, Tinker and Mounsey now fighting over 5th position.
Yeah, this is really good stuff from Cormac Buchanan. Just give him a shout out. Really impressive stuff. Coming here to race at Silverstone and putting this performance in, and in race 1 as well. Quite often you see those guys like Keanu Fire managed to make some good progress as the weekend went on last time out and took that first podium. But yeah, Cormac Buchanan, even in the first race of the weekend, able to really contend for it. But Jamie Lyons there giving us another little intake of breath.
Yeah, that was a very optimistic overtaking. That's the corner that's perhaps seen more crashes than anywhere else over the course of this MotoGP weekend. We've seen the likes of John McPhee, of course, in the Moto3 class, have an accident there. We saw Alex Rins have one there earlier today as well in the MotoGP class. The best can be caught out through that corner, so to try and pull an overtake like that was a touch ambitious, but we can't knock Lyon's ambition. Buchanan, though, who's trying to chase down Brown for 3rd place, and as you can see on the tower left-hand side of your screen, he has now taken it. His championship position doesn't quite reflect how good he's been this year. He missed the last round of the British Talent Cup because he had a clash. He was busy racing in Red Bull Rookies in Austria, so that's why he's perhaps so deep in the points compared to where he is. Yes, I can confirm to you, Jamie, there's no one for company. All eyes on the rider ahead as they go past our commentary box window now to start the penultimate lap, and again they're in the 2:21s, just 0.3 of a second between them.
Yeah, it's great stuff from these two, it really is. And I'm looking at the timing screen like, come on, update, show us what the gap is, but that says in itself how big the gap is. It's now 10 seconds back to Carter Brown and Cormac Buchanan fighting over that 3rd place. So this really is a duel to the finish between these two, and an incredible showcase of their pace around this Silverstone circuit. But yeah, 2 laps to go, but it's still 12 kilometers, so plenty to go in this one still. And yeah, Jamie Lyons just staying in the right postcode at the moment.
Yeah, and we've seen already in this race, he is not afraid to have a go when it comes to it. He had a go on the first lap, so he's certainly not going to be afraid to have a go on the final 2 laps. It's the question, I suppose, as we're looking at this, with the pace so strong up the front, as Lyons has a look at the inside, is it going to take a mistake from Casey O'Gorman to let Lyons through, or can he force his way through? He's shown his front wheel on a few occasions now, but Casey O'Gorman, wheel perfect so far, not making any mistakes, and despite those attempts to have a move, it's not distracting Casey O'Gorman. It's very easy to see that, the shadow of that front wheel up the inside, and it frighten you into a mistake, but Casey O'Gorman showing no signs of that at the moment. Yeah,
and that's good from O'Gorman as well, because especially last season he had some bad luck, but he also had a couple of moments where just not quite got it all together, despite his obvious really really impressive pace at all rounds. And again, this season, obviously, sadly, he suffered from that injury, but he's shown that he's often the fastest man out there on race day when he is in the mix. But yeah, it's going to be interesting then in this duel to the finish, and with a different opponent to the ones they usually race as well. Lyons and O'Gorman maybe not that familiar with each other in that fight for victory, so it could play into it. And Jamie Lyons, of course, as well, physically much bigger. Everyone's got different strengths between them, so yeah, it's going to be a good duel to the end, I think. And these two as well, they're still absolutely going at it, and I think that gap behind them's come down again.
Jamie Lyons missed out on victory at Thruxton earlier in the season by just 0.1 of a second. He does not want to experience that feeling again here at Silverstone. With the eyes of the MotoGP paddock on them, this is a big stage for the Honda British Talent Cup riders to showcase their talents, and boy are O'Gorman and Lyons doing that here. They are way clear of the rest of the field as we start the final lap, as they crank it right now through Woodcut, past our commentary box window and across the line to start the final lap. O'Gorman's lead is just a quarter of a second. Lyons a tenth faster on that lap. He's going to have to pull back even more than that on this final lap, and no signs at the moment of Casey O'Gorman cracking. Yeah,
absolutely. O'Gorman pretty solid in that race lead. Oh, bit of elbows. Careful, lads. 3 abreast then. Mounty makes good use of that drama between to move alongside. But right, we're back with the leaders then. We'll see what happens in that podium fight a little else, but have to focus on the duel. So O'Gorman then still holding strong at the front, as we've often seen him able to just really keep it in the final stages of races this season. He's just had that extra when he's needed it to pull it out, but this time around it looks like Lyons is ready to try and strike. Is it going to come here?
Yeah, Stowe's been a favourite overtaking spot for Jamie Lyons so far in this race, and he was right in the slipstream. This time he doesn't have to lunge from a long way back. He was fairly alongside up the inside into Stowe. Now can he hold it? Because O'Gorman will look to strike straight back here into Vale, the left-hander, before they go right for Club onto the Formula One pitch straight with the wing on their right. A look at the inside for O'Gorman, but no way through just yet. Lyons not making a mistake just yet. The battle for third at the moment, Stuart Campbell is back ahead, so he's rebounded for a pretty difficult couple of laps, and he's back into third position, but he's now surrounded from all sides as the 24 Buchanan looks to go around the outside. But to be fair to Stuart Campbell, placing his bike perfectly, is he? He's going to try and keep it around the outside. He just about does. That was very ambitious from Buchanan at the inside. Lyons still holds it though. Third of a lap to go.
Yep, third of a lap to go then. It's almost crunch time. What has Casey O'Gorman got in the locker? So far, Jamie Lyons has really made that move count. Not quite given the number 67 the right to reply. So can he hold it all the way to the line? Like we said, with him being the bigger rider and ahead, he doesn't have to worry about that slipstream to the line either, which could come into play very shortly.
Absolutely. He's looking to take a bit of a defensive line there as they go down to Brooklands. O'Gorman is going to have to make the move. There's no question he's going to go for it. O'Gorman having a look up the inside, but no way through just yet. Lyons continues to hold it. Does he make the apex? Yes, he does. Now it's all about being smooth. It's about keeping his rhythm and not making an error through Luffield. Keep it tight. Don't give O'Gorman a run at him on the main straight. A little bit wide, but that'll give him good drive out of there as they come around the final corner. The final corner is here. It is Woodcut. No way through at the inside for O'Gorman. Can he sneak up the inside as they go across the line? He has a go, but he can't quite do it, and Jamie Lyons does take his first victory in the Honda British Talent Cup of 2021. Third place looks like, crucially, it's going to go to Carter Brown. Those are 16 crucial championship points for him. Bailey Stewart Campbell looks like he's going to be just pipped to fourth by the number 4 of Sullivan Mounsey. A tremendous battle to the flag with Tinker in 6th and Cormac Buchanan just shuffled back to 7th.
He was indeed. So then where's the number 52 going to come out on top? That's Evan Belford, points leader. I think he's just going to get the better of that group that he was racing. So yeah, 9th position then. Pretty good damage limitation from the back of the grid, and crucially, I think more than anything, even if he'd just taken a couple of points, didn't lose his head under really extreme pressure, and with some good laps put in as well, he'll gain that grid position for tomorrow. So great stuff from Belford, but great stuff from Jamie Lyons on the top step. Really impressive, and you can see it's absolutely pumped when they cross the line.
Yeah, I believe there'll be a change for second in the championship. My maths are notoriously iffy, so don't take my word for this until we see it on screen. But I believe that Carter Brown will have taken second place in the points from Johnny Garnett. He was 14 behind him going to this race, and he's just taken 16 for third. He will trail Evan Belford, I believe, by 20 going to the race tomorrow. So Evan Belford, from what seemed a pretty disastrous situation 24 hours ago, extends his points lead.
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic, isn't it? compared to how it looked before the lights went out. How much can change so quickly in motorcycle racing. We always say it, it's become a cliche, but cliches are often true.
They are.
That's
indeed.
how they become so. But yeah, so Carter Brown then back on the podium. Great ride from him to come out on top in that really close battle for that third position. The duel at the front was just long gone, wasn't it? But those guys put on a real show there, 4 wide at times, and
absolutely, yeah.
Sadly losing Harrison Crosby and James Cook from that, but great performance from Brown and Sullivan Mounty as well. Shout out to him, managing to keep that pace to the end. And Bailey Stewart Campbell, I'm sure, will be a little bit disappointed with that 5th after starting so strongly in the early stages.
And a fascinating second race looking in store tomorrow, because of course we'll have Evan Belford much closer to the front of the grid now for the second race of the weekend, which will be at 4 p.m. local time here in the UK tomorrow. Here was the key moment of the race, really, with Johnny Garnett looking to break clear on that first lap and losing the front as they go into Luffield. And 25 potential points, of course, a long way was still to go in that race. 25 potential points slip away. Casey O'Gorman then with second place. It's only the second time he's been beaten in a race he's competed in the British Talent Cup this season, but still crucial points for him. We pretty much now, I'd say, have at the very least a 4-way title fight, with O'Gorman, of course, taking those 20 points, which will move him on to 140. He'll be within a race or so's points behind the championship leader, Evan Belford, with another race to come tomorrow for him to try and close still further. But this is the moment that perhaps will haunt him as he goes to bed tonight. Jamie Lyons taking the lead into Stowe and holding it to the flag.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure this will be a scene he if they get a replay tomorrow, we'll be very keen not to repeat, and we'll be very aware of where Jamie Lyons just got the better of him. But look at that photo finish. 13 thousandths
of a second is all it took to settle the winner between Jamie Lyons and Casey O'Gorman. Not too dissimilar to the margin that settled the MotoGP winner last time we raced here.
It was almost the same, wasn't it? But just couldn't quite do it, could O'Gorman, but yeah, so close. Jamie Lyons, though, love to see those celebrations. He's obviously so happy with that. And yeah, after coming so close before, like you said, it's really great to see him come out on top.
And a well-earned round of applause from the fans who've packed into Silverstone. It sounds like an obvious thing to say, but it is true. It is so good to see the fans back into MotoGP venues once again. Of course, we saw it in Austria last time out, where they cheered on the Northern Talent Cup riders. This time it's the British Talent Cup riders earning their applause. A little bump of the fist with Casey O'Gorman, who isn't too disappointed with second place as he congratulates the winner, Jamie Lyons. Then a first victory of 2021.
Look at that height difference.
It is. You can see all sorts of different ages in this. Jamie Lyons is 16. Casey O'Gorman is a year younger, but quite considerably shorter in that battle. But in the end, just 13 thousandths of a second split them.
Yeah, great duel between those two then. And what was the gap in the end? 15.7 seconds back to the rest. So absolute masterclass from those two out front. But Carter Brown, good day's work for sure in third place and another podium. You know, if you can't stay with the guys right at the front, you've got to do the best you can, especially when you're in his position of trying to fight for the overall cup. So that's another 16 valuable points for him. And yeah, with Garnes crashing out and Belford having started at the back, that's a pretty good game for Carter Brown today, I think.
Absolutely. The second stage of what's been a very good weekend for him so far, because of course he got to quiz a couple of the MotoGP riders on Thursday when he took part in MotoGP Social as part of our pre-weekend press conference, and just being able to share the same paddock, share the same room as these quality riders, the best riders on the planet. Even if you obviously you're in a position to perhaps showcase your talents to the Grand Prix teams, just to be able to, just to ask a question, just to be able to share the knowledge, the wisdom with these riders, invaluable to these riders who are, of course, still in their teenage years, to be able to learn from the best riders on the planet.
Yeah, for sure. It's great. Like we say, we don't call it the biggest stage of the Honda British Talent Cup season for no reason. It's obviously a huge event, and yeah, great to see them in this paddock and able to take part as well with the FIM Mini GP UK series. Who were with us this weekend? We had Harley McCabe, who's also in the British Talent Cup and just came 12th. He won both of those races on Wednesday, and he joined these guys in the press conference. Great to give them just a little bit of a taster of the Grand Prix paddock, and as part of it as well, and not just as a guest and taking them on a little tour with the placard in the air. So great stuff. Oh, we've got a special guest on the camera there.
Nice piece of British wildlife there on screen.
We need Matt Dunn to call out what it is.
Absolutely, as we get ready to show you the results then. From race 1 of the weekend, the Honda British Talent Cup here at Silverstone. It was Jamie Lyons then who took the victory, just 13 thousandths of a second, as we mentioned, separating him from Casey O'Gorman. You're going to have to take my word for it at the moment because you can't see them on screen. But Carter Brown took 3rd place, 15 seconds adrift, but it's still 16 points no matter how far from the winner you are. Sullivan Mounsey on the number 4, taking 4th position ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell. Corey Tinker completes the top 6. Here we go. Corey Tinker in 6th position, and you can see just how close it was from 3rd back to 7th. Unfortunately, Cormac Buchanan pulled the short straw and came over the line in 7th. Rhys Stevenson in 8th position ahead of Evan Belford with those 7 crucial championship points. How crucial could those points be when we crown the British Talent Cup winner at Donington Park in October? The top 10 completed by Ollie Walker ahead of Rossi Banham and Harley McCabe, who Fran mentioned a moment ago. That's his best result of the season. Lucas Brown in 13th ahead of the Dutchman Keanu Vaya, and the American Julian Correa taking the final point in 15th position. Harrison Mackay was next up ahead of Josh Bannister and Reese Coates. Rossi Dobson, JJ Cunningham completed your top 20 ahead of Alexander Rowan and Ross Moore, Harrison Desoy and Eli Banish in 24th position, with Peter Willis taking 25th. A minute and 38 back from the winner. But crucial experience for all of these riders to race on the home of the British Grand Prix, including Anthony Eagle and Holly Harris, who was the last of our riders across the line. Of course, 5 retirements that you just saw there, including the early lap 1 leader, Johnny Garness, as Casey O'Gorman takes up the 2nd place on the podium, a podium that these riders have all dreamed of standing on early in their career, and they'll be hoping that it won't be the last time, not just this weekend, but in their future careers, that they get to stand on a podium like this at a MotoGP event. A special, special feeling for the race winner, Jamie Lyons.
Very much so, and that height difference even more when he's on the top step, isn't it? But yeah, I'm sure that is a very special feeling for him. So let's see then.
We're awaiting some trophies for these 3 riders. They've worked very hard for it, so they deserve some recognition. Before we get to that, we're going to hear the British National Anthem for our winner. Feeling that any rider dreams of, standing on a Grand Prix podium on the top step. And a round of applause for your podium finishers then. Starting with 3rd place, Carter Brown. 16 valuable points and a trophy for him. For Carter Brown, that's his 5th podium of the season. Casey O'Gorman then in 2nd place. He's continued his record of being 1st or 2nd every race he started this season, but a special, special feeling for Jamie Lyons, who had to work hard for that. Casey O'Gorman did not give an inch. He certainly had to work hard for it, but he earned his reward with 25 points and a victory. His 1st of the season in the Honda British Talent Cup.
It was indeed. And we don't believe that Jamie Lyons should have had the Irish flag next to his name on the graphics. We believe he's Northern Irish. And certainly didn't seem too offended by God Save the Queen.
He didn't.
I think we've had a bit of a graphics malfunction there.
He did, but what we can confirm is that it's 25 points and a victory
most definitely
for him as we look at the highlights from this race, and a tremendous start. And as I mentioned earlier on, this was about as good as it got for Johnny Garness, who looked to be streaking away at the front of the field, even at this early stage, but unfortunately in Summerfield, the front end gave away and any chance of victory slipped away. A season that had brought a number of podiums, but one crucial DNF back at Thruxton that added a second. That left 2 away at the front, with Evan Belford busy trying to make his way through the field. The battle was on at the front, Fran, between our front two of O'Gorman and Lyons.
It was indeed. And then behind them, as you can see, there was drama for Harrison Crosby and James Cook, as Crosby just collected the number 34 there. There's a huge group fight for third place, but these two were not part of it, with a stunning race to the line and Lyons on top.
A photo finish between the two. It whets the appetite nicely for race 2 tomorrow, 4 p.m. local time. If we have anything like as good a race as that, we're in for an absolute cracker, with Evan Belford likely to be right back in the mix in race 2 of the weekend. Jamie Lyons, though, the winner on Saturday at Silverstone.